Now, house prices up 5% in September, according to the Nationwide Building Society. Mortgage applications at their highest levels since 2007, says the Bank of England. All perhaps to be expected once the logjam of lockdown had burst. But as our Dorset reporter Tristan Pascoe has been finding out, there could be another logjam on the horizon.
Right, said Fred, both of us together, one each end and steady as we go.
Since coronavirus, things ain't quite what they used to be in the housing market. Like much of the country, house sales ground almost to a halt at the end of March. But now, as more sectors of the economy pick up, the market is moving again, with more new mortgage applications for more than a decade.
One London firm, Magni Finance, told me they'd seen a 30% increase in the numbers of people wanting to move to the country, fleeing the city for a place in the Cotswolds, the New Forest, or on the Dorset coast. And with the Chancellor offering a stamp duty holiday on homes of up to £500,000, the local market is buoyant once again.
Estate agents are very busy after several weeks and months of inactivity.
Just actually trying to manage the day has been really, really difficult. We're trying to get staff back in and running again, trying to stay COVID safe with almost no guidance whatsoever.
With so many people involved in the process, estate agents, solicitors, the land registry and council staff all affected by lockdown, there's a real logjam of work to get through.
Everybody just decided they were going to move. I think we live in an area where a lot of people want to come and live down here anyway. They've been locked down for 3 months and they're just making positive life choices and think, well, I'm going to do it now. I've seen loads and loads of people who are just deciding, okay, well, now's the time. And it's a pretty big saving. £15,000 if you're buying at £500,000 is a lot of money. So I'd say that's a huge difference between somebody choosing to do it now rather than do it at a later date. And you've only got so much time to do it as well. So it has to be in by the deadline. So we've just seen more people than ever coming to move.
It's not just estate agents that are feeling the pressure. Solicitors, law firms that handle the conveyancing side of a house deal have also been affected by coronavirus, with many working from home. So is it fair to blame the lawyers for the slowdown?
Oh, we always get the blame, that's fine. The problem is that we had the backlog of the transactions that were still in the system. So we rely on the local authorities to produce the local authority searches for us, which are an essential part of our work. We require the mortgagees to carry out their valuations in order to give us the mortgage offers for the borrowers.
So Charlie and me had another cup of tea.
With sometimes up to 5 buyers for every house, the work keeps piling up, but there simply aren't the staff to cope with the rush.
Local authorities are still not completely staffed, and so trying to get the searches through, they're doing them as quick as they can, but people are furloughed still, people are in isolation, so the capacity is not there to do it. The mortgage valuation's exactly the same, which results in us not getting the information we need in order to do our conveyancing work.
The stamp duty holiday piled on further pressure, with purchasers seeking to get in before the deadline in March next year.
I've heard of instances of solicitors' firms saying, sorry, we can't take any more work. There's too much to get through the system and there's not the capacity to deal with it. What we need to do is, I think, is to extend the stamp duty reduction period to allow for the property market to plateau slightly, to allow it to steady itself.
Back in Dorset, and agents like Simon would also welcome the stamp duty break being extended as we approach the cliff edge of March next year.
We've seen such a boom since it was announced, and we're going to have a bust on the other side of it unless we extend it out. And I think where everyone's struggling to get deals through, conveyancers are struggling, estate agents are struggling, and everyone's struggling to manage the workload, we have to find a way to smooth that out. It can't just get worse and worse and worse up to the March deadline and then all of a sudden stop. I don't see anything positive coming out of that.
Now, you never get nowhere if you're too hasty.
So, Mims Davies, the stamp duty holiday, are we heading to a cliff edge?
Well, we've seen a 15.6% rise in house sales in August. And the changes in stamp duties we heard earlier have benefited working people. About 750,000 people able to come into that bracket and get support. And the average savings is about £4,500. So yes, it's created the stimulus. And let's be honest,
And
that's
you're about
exactly
to turn
what
that
we
tap
wanted
off,
it
and
to
it's
do.
a bubble that'll burst, isn't it?
I am absolutely not, Peter. I'm not the Chancellor, and I cannot write fiscal events on your programme as much as I would like to. But what will happen in March with our next budget will be really, really key. And I think what we have seen is not just busy conveyancers and busy solicitors, as we heard, and busy estate agents, and certainly in Mid-Sussex they are doing very well. And they pushed and certainly lobbied me for this because there was that built-up sort of amount of people already having babies, wanting to downsize, needing to plan their lives. They couldn't carry on waiting, and stamp duty is a great way of helping people to move forward. So I would personally love to see all of the interventions that we can continue to do in the economy as the Employment Minister to support jobs and livelihoods as we push for recovery. And this is a really important mix for us. And of course, it's been helping the construction industry, the painting and decorating and doing up DIY industry as well. So it's been vital, and that's certainly something I'm sure the Chancellor will look at.
Tom, in Oxford, houses have been unaffordable for decades. And is it good news that house prices have risen as a result of this?
Home ownership is an aspiration for many, but millions are missing out. And here in Oxford, I'm often hearing from grandparents or parents who worry about young people and their families who are in insecure rental situations, who are being squeezed by housing costs and struggling to just get by. And the stamp duty holiday isn't going to solve the overall problem of the housing crisis. The coronavirus crisis hasn't got rid of the housing crisis. We need to build more homes. We need British homes for now and for the future, and it could be a key part of the recovery from coronavirus. And if we don't build those homes, then we're not going to address the question of unaffordability.
And local authorities are building a lot more housing now, aren't they?
Oxford's new local plan is certainly committing us to building thousands more homes, but we need government to give us more support. And frankly, I'm deeply concerned by this housing secretary. Robert Jenricks is proposing that planning reforms, which are going to lead to the undercutting of local democratic control and the getting rid of the affordable housing requirement. And my question to Mims would be, does she agree with Robert Jenrick's approach, or does she agree with Theresa May, the Prime Minister, before Boris Johnson, who thinks that it's not going to build one more home, is going to affect local democratic control, and it's going to make the unaffordability housing problem all the worse?
We have very little time left, Mims, so you've got to pick. Jenrick or May?
What I would say to viewers
is
this is a white paper, it's a discussion document, and absolutely this government is committed to more housing, but it's got to be with local support and it's got to be homes in the right places.
We're going to hear a lot more about it, absolutely. Thank you. Now let's take a look at some of the other political stories in the news.